Hello everybody, I'm Hafiz, an English tutor from HZad Education. For this video, I'm going to talk about CELPIP speaking task 3, continuing from the previous video where I covered task 2. So we don't need any more introduction, we can just jump right into the question. To start off, task 3 is describing a scene. So you will be given a picture during the test, and the pictures are usually random. You can't really predict on what kind of picture it's going to be, but for sure, 100%, it will have a lot of things going on in it. So you do need to observe that. And then you have 30 seconds for preparation, and then you will have 60 seconds to speak. So the preparation time and the speaking time is exactly the same as in task 2. So let's start off with some important notes that you need to be aware of. The first one is you are basically describing to someone who cannot see the picture. So either you're describing, let's pretend you're describing a picture to someone over the phone, right? When video call wasn't available, or you're describing to a blind person. So you have to make sure the way you describe the picture clearly outlines the entire thing and make it clear in terms of its visual so that the person can clearly picture in their mind what the picture looks like. The second one is you do have to study the picture closely, of course, because of the first point. And not only that, but you have to group into different parts. Why do I recommend that? Because, like I said, the picture usually has a lot of things going on, right? It might be children playing in the park, might be a picture of a highway, and so on. But there will usually be different sections of the picture where kind of see that there are different focus going on. So in your preparation time, you have to study those things closely and make sure that you identify the different categories. Those will become your body answer. So those are the things that you're going to include in your answer, and the different category will help you shape the structure of your answer as well. So please keep that in mind. The third thing here is you do have to use prepositions. So, of course, when it comes to prepositions, you have to use words like behind, in front of, top corner, etc. You have to be very explicit on where the object you're describing is located in the picture. And then the next point is you do have to cover every scene in the picture. Now, of course, it does not mean that you literally describe every single thing in great detail. Like if you have 10 person on that picture, you do not have to describe all 10 pictures. You just need to make sure that the most prominent part of the pictures are covered very clearly and concisely. We'll take a look at how that looks like later on. And then the next point is please do not make it sound like a list. So if you have heard a list before, usually you will say one thing and then have a conjunction, a simple conjunction like and also after that, and then and so on. So those are not recommended. You are describing, you're not listing. So you when you focus on the key parts of the picture, right, and covering just the prominent ones that will give a clarity on what the picture looks like to the person you're describing to, just make sure that you are still speaking in a way that's casual, that still feels like a conversation, and also it comes out naturally. And last but not least, use adjectives. So I've already mentioned preposition before, might have put that in by mistake, but then the last thing is adjectives. So there are going to be a lot of adjectives in your answer because that's the only way that you can detail what the objects or people in that picture looks like. So if you see a person, you cannot simply say, oh, there's a man doing this. Nope, you have to add more adjectives to that to make it a lot more clear. Oh, there's a man wearing a white t-shirt with jeans playing in the park, something like that. So try not to, of course, pile on too many adjectives in one object, item, or person, just enough so that again, you give a clear picture on what it looks like. Now, let's see the structure of your answer and also see a sample picture. Here it is. So let's start off with the structure and then we'll see how we can implement it with the picture, right? So the first thing is you have to describe the picture in general. Don't start off immediately pinpointing specifics. Give an overview of what the picture is actually about or what it looks like. So if you take a look at the sample picture that I have here, right, it shows lots of people basically in a station, right? And you can clearly see there are different parts as well, but we'll get to that in more details in just a bit. But basically, the overall pictures is something along the line of, so in this picture, there are numerous people or many people queuing up in a train station, something along that line. You can be just a little bit more specific. Maybe you can talk about how there are ticket station as well, and or maybe in before a gate and so on, right? But there must be an overview. You're still not specifying too much, right? Just to make sure that the person you're describing to have a clear idea of what kind of picture you are currently describing. Now, after that, then you start describing the prominent areas of the picture. You can also use the 5 W's to help you. So, who, what, where, when, why. Now, some of those, of course, you might not be able to say, but basically, at the very least, you describe the what, the where, and maybe the how, right? The why and the when, probably not going to be as common or at all. So then you can immediately, from this picture, there are at least 3 different prominent areas. Number one, you have the people queuing up at the ticket booth, right? That's the first. And you can describe there the different kinds of people, they'll come a little bit later. And then the second part, you also have this in the middle, right? That is the gate, and then there are also people in that part of the picture as well, doing something different compared to the people in the ticket booth, of course. And then lastly, you do have this, the people onboarding the train itself. So those 3 categories are basically going to be your the body of your answer. So you have to describe each of those 3 things. Now, how do you order it? That's completely up to you. But the important thing here is that you do have a very clear structure on how you transition from different positions of the picture. So if you want to start from the far right of the picture, then maybe it's better for you to describe things from there and transition to the left, right? If you want to describe things that are bigger first and then move on towards things that are smaller, that also works. What doesn't work is when you have inconsistency or it feels like you jump around the picture without really giving a clear flow or structure on how you are trying to describe the picture. So in this case, particularly for this example, I would recommend basically going either from left to right or right to left. Do not start in the middle and then going on to the tickets and then the train station. That might still work, of course, but it just eases the burden on your mind a little bit because you know where to go with your eyes and with your mouth. So it just makes it a lot more convenient for you as well, right? You only have 30 seconds to prepare, so that isn't much time. So in this case, we identified 3 parts of the picture. So that means you have to describe 3 things, right? I'm going to give you a sample of one of the parts of the picture so that you can see how your answer should look like. So I'm going to describe the middle part where the kid is being chased by a security guard. In the middle of the picture, we can see 2 children being pursued by a security guard. Now, one of the kids who's wearing a yellow t shirt and purple pants is currently trying to jump over the gate, while the other kid who's wearing a grayish t shirt is being left behind. And the security guard can also be seen with an expression of shouting at the children while the person is chasing them. So something along like that, right? Now, in terms of security guard, you might you can add maybe how the uniform looks like, but it's pretty much clear if it's a security guard, right? It doesn't have to have a concise description of what the uniform looks like. A lot of them have the same uniform, basically. So the other ones, on the other hand, the children, you might want to describe the colors, right? Or as well as the expressions, maybe, but definitely the action. So though that is an example, and you need to do something similar with the other parts. So you start off with, from the right side of the picture, you can see people queuing up for tickets using a ticket booth, and there are a variety of types of people, and also a kid at the back who lost her balloon. Of course, you want to elaborate that a little bit and make sure that they transition a lot smoother from one object to another, right? And then use transitional phrases as well, right? In addition, furthermore, right, and so on. So that's basically how the body of your answer will look like. And then lastly, you do need to close off your answer with another general description. So if we were to just briefly take a look again at the picture, this is pretty chaotic, right? Like I would no doubt say that during the test. So that's okay. And even if you feel like that might not be too accurate, it's completely fine, right? So as long as your overall description, it doesn't sound too far-fetched, right? If you had said something like, well, so basically the train station is it's pretty much a disaster. Like there's nothing um, proper and it's quite dirty, right? So you made a description that doesn't really fit well with the other description that you made. So just enough to kind of support again that description you made in the body or in the introduction. So I would end something. So basically, the train station is quite full and a little bit chaotic, something like that, right? And then that will be your answer. Okay, guys, hope that helps you understand much clearer CELPIP Task 3, describing a picture. If you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment and do subscribe and like. And if you want to see more materials, more tips and tricks, do check out the link in the description below. That's my time, guys. I'll see you in the next video.